The poem I would like to perform for you now was written by Robert Frost, titled Christmas Trees, a Christmas Circular Letter. And it reminds me of growing up in western North Carolina. When I was a boy, we lived about 8 miles outside of Asheville on Brevard Road, and it seemed like we were deep into the country.
And now it's not so far out in the country. Where I grew up is where Brevard Road and Interstate 26 cross, just outside of Asheville, really about 6 or 7 miles. But back then it was really country, and beyond our front porch, the lawn ran down under these tall pine trees, sloped down a field, crossed over a dirt road, and then went back up into what we call Mr. Stevens' pasture. And so what I would like to do is close with a poem written by Robert Frost titled Christmas Trees, a Christmas Circular Letter. And it's, my way of saying Happy Christmas to you. It's also my way of remembering Mr. Stevens' field. Now, Mr. Stevens didn't have all that many trees planted in the field. I do remember occasionally there was a horse there, maybe a cow. But we used to traverse that field as boys, going into the woods and coming back out of the woods. And I remember thinking Mr. Stevens' field was so beautiful. And there were some scrubby pines in the field, but I always think of it as a beautiful field full of lush green pine trees and whatnot. And I imagine this is a similar feel to the field that we now have in the poem I'm going to do by Robert Frost, Christmas Trees, a Christmas Circular Letter. And it's about a man being approached from somebody who lives in the city, and the man coming from the city approaches the countryman and wants the countryman to sell his Christmas trees. And the countryman decides, will I sell or will I keep? And here's what happens. Christmas Trees by Robert Frost. The city had withdrawn into itself and left at last the country to the country. When between whirls of snow not come to lie and whirls of foliage not yet laid, there drove a stranger to our yard who looked the city, yet did in country fashion, in that there he sat and waited till he drew us out a buttoning coats to ask him who he was. He proved to be the city come again, to look for something it had left behind, and could not do without to keep its Christmas. He asked if I would sell my Christmas trees, my woods, the young fir balsams, like a place where houses all are churches and have spires. I hadn't thought of them as Christmas trees. I doubt if I was tempted for a moment to sell them off their feet to go in cars and leave the slope behind the house all bare, where the sun shines now no warmer than the moon. I'd hate to have them know it if I was. Yet more, I'd hate to hold my trees, except as others hold theirs, or refuse for them beyond the time of profitable growth, the trial by market everything must come to. I dallied so much with the thought of selling, then whether from mistaken courtesy and fear of seeming short of speech, or whether from hope of hearing good of what was mine, I said, there aren't enough to be worthwhile. I could soon tell you how many they would cut. You let me look them over. You could look, but don't expect I'm going to let you have them. Pasture they spring in, some in clumps too close that lop each other of boughs, but not a few, quite solitary and having equal boughs all round and round. The latter he nodded yes to, or paused to say beneath some lovelier one with a buyer's moderation, well, that would do. I thought so too, but wasn't there to say so. We climbed the pasture on the south, crossed over, and came down on the north. He said, 1,000. 1,000 Christmas trees. At what apiece?
He felt some need of softening that to me. 1,000 Christmas trees would come to $30.
Then I was certain I had never meant to let him have them. Never show surprise. But $30 seemed so small beside the extent of pasture I should strip. 3 cents. So small beside the dollar friends I should be writing to within the hour would pay in cities for good trees like those. Regular vestry trees whole Sunday schools could hang enough on to pick off enough. 1,000 Christmas trees I didn't know I had, worth 3 cents more to give away than sell, as may be shown by a simple calculation. Too bad I couldn't lay one in a letter. I can't help wishing I could send you one, in wishing you herewith a Merry Christmas. That was Christmas Trees, a Christmas circular letter by Robert Frost. At the end of the poem, when he says, 1,000 Christmas trees I didn't know I had, worth 3 cents more to give away than sell, as may be shown by a simple calculation. And the calculation is this. The Christmas trees were worth 3 cents apiece. It cost 6 cents to mail a letter, so the letter is 3 cents more than the Christmas trees. So why not leave the Christmas trees where they have always been, on the hill to be enjoyed year-round, rather than just for one season? Thank you ever so much for listening to Christmas Trees by Robert Frost. I hope you enjoyed it. And if it's around Christmas time, the holiday season, lean into it. Enjoy yourself. Have a happy time. And come back later and listen to some more poems. Thank you so much.